When I was a kid, I wanted to be an actress, I wanted to be a writer, and I wanted to be an artist. Creating art can be a form of devotion or prayer, and I actually don't feel good about myself when I'm not expressing and circulating my creativity. Why do we avoid the things that we think will make us happy? Like even the pleasurable things in life. There needs to be a discipline of showing up for that thing. Hello, it's me, Suja here. Grab your cacao or your matcha or your coffee and cozy up, because it's gonna be a cozy art vlog, really different from anything I've ever done before, but I wanna take you through my process of working on art. I'm really claiming that I'm in my artist era. In some ways, I feel like I've always been an artist, and I feel like many of you are artists out there, but there's so much stuff around just calling ourselves artists and embracing that we are artists. And in this vlog, I'm gonna take you through my process of working on an art piece, but also show you that it's not just all romanticized and inspiration and motivation that flows in when you're an artist. It actually takes a lot of discipline and consistency and showing up even when it doesn't feel like fluffy clouds and rainbows. So start sipping and hope you enjoy. I'm sitting today in my living space, but I have a white sheet down, I have some paint out, I have my art in the background. So it's a very simple space, but I wanted to kind of show you how I transform this little corner of the house. It's actually a big part of the house. We live in a 400 square foot studio, but how I transform it into my art space. So this bag right here, it has all of my paint stuff. Got my paint brushes, and then I have this little nook. It has my musical instruments. Usually I have my harmonium right here. This is my most recent piece that I just started working on. I just have a pencil sketch so far. I'm gonna tell you the whole story and inspiration behind this piece, but my goal is to take you through the completion, or at least close to the completion of this piece throughout this video. I wanted to kind of share some of my processing I'm going through in this season of life. Part of my most recent journey is me declaring that I'm in my artist era. When I was a kid, I wanted to be many things. I wanted to be an actress, I wanted to be a writer, and I wanted to be an artist. And the deeper I got into exploring different modalities of art, and honestly, the more that I grow up, I realize the things that come in our way that make us feel like we have to be good enough to be the thing. So at a certain point, I was painting, but I was like, what is coming up for me that I need to be X, Y, and Z in order to be an artist, in order to call myself an artist? And I went to an event recently. It was a beautiful space in San Diego, Melissa Medina Art. So it's a friend of mine who just opened up her gallery, and another friend of mine in the community that led us through a figure drawing class. And it brought so many beautiful women who've been immersing themselves into art. And it was so refreshing to hear themselves declaring themselves as artists. Like, whether they did other things for work or not, they declared themselves as artists. Obviously, it's not like you just wake up one day, never done art before, and call yourself an artist. But for so many years of my life, on and off, even though it's been inconsistent, I have immersed myself into art. And so this is kind of your permission slip that if you've had this desire, or if you feel in your bones that you are a creative and you are an artist, and honestly, I believe we all are, whatever modality that is, whether that's dance or writing or even working sales. Sales is an art. Creating a business is an art. Really honing in on that title of an artist and proclaiming that. And it really doesn't matter if you're trying to make money from it or not, although that is a beautiful exchange, and being supported for your exchanges, I believe, is so important. And I think that is the challenge. That's why they call that term like the starving artist. You know, another video I had watched of a few women coming together, they spent a month in Europe and they just committed to working on their art every day. And none of them are professionals, but they just enjoy art and they really take that on as an expression of themselves. And they called it an art residency. And I feel like even though I'm just here in my home, I can kind of transform the space. And this is kind of my like artistic corner that I really cherish, like a sanctuary of my house. And right behind this camera, I have a little altar. I feel like I can almost create my own art residency here. So as I intentionally take these next few months to, purposefully not jump into work or applying for jobs and all of that, I also have been really trying to commit to being in my own version of an art residency, even if that's solo. One thing that I've really realized every time I come to a point where I'm like, I really want to just spend time doing the things that I love to do, and then days go by where I'm in my own spiral of thoughts, or I am being consumed with other things, or scrolling on my phone, and I realize that sometimes the things that are your own version of devotion, because I feel like creating art can be a form of devotion or prayer or expressing yourself and putting your creative energy and value into the world. I feel like sometimes devotion also goes hand in hand with discipline. And so in order to show up for your practices of devotion and loving yourself and putting your creativity out in the world, there needs to be a discipline of showing up for that thing, because it can be so easy to have other things come up. And I'm really trying to explore what that is. What is that avoidance where, I have this all right in front of me, and of course it's a little bit easier when I have the space to myself and I share space with my partner, so there's that little dance. And if at all, like the things that you want to spend time in devotion for, that can bring up the good things that you need. So me disciplining and really wanting to show up for my practices, my art practices, my singing, has allowed me and pushed me to have breakthrough conversations and healthy conversations around boundaries and use of the space and my needs and desires with my partner. So it's helped me in all aspects of life, but I notice when I don't show up for it, that commitment to show up for the conversation so that I can have and facilitate the space for myself, then I suffer. And I actually don't feel good about myself when I'm not expressing and circulating my creativity. Checking in here. It's now 2025, January 3rd. It's been about like 2.5-ish, maybe even 3 weeks since I last even worked on this, and so it's really just my second session really pouring it into this art piece, and it wasn't even that long that I worked on it today. And you know what, like I knew I would have the space to myself today, but I kind of kept on procrastinating to work on the art piece. Like it's been right there for me for weeks, and yes, we have like holiday festivities around Christmas and New Year's, but even then I didn't have anything crazy. I had time and space, but I was just kind of like asking myself today, I'm like, why do we avoid the things that we think will make us happy? Like even the pleasurable things in life, because I like doing art, but it still takes a little bit of a setup, and I don't know, sometimes it's easy to just sit down and watch something or get caught up in other plans or other things to do. And so I think when it comes to these different forms of expression, of artistic expression, it's really helpful for me to link it to a devotional practice or a form of worship or a way that I am offering something into the world. And so reminding myself of that today, because I felt myself continuously procrastinate, watching different videos and just kind of like thinking of food. And I was like, this is my devotional practice. This is what I'm pouring in today. And again, that dilemma of like wanting to do a bajillion things, but being like, no, this is the time and space. I don't know what you do usually when you're working on an art piece, but what I tried out today, because I've done that in the past where I'm actually watching something. I don't know why my mind just needs to be occupied, but again, like reminding myself this is a devotional practice and I just want to like fully be in it. And so I didn't even want to listen to multiple songs or like switch the mood, because when you're listening to multiple songs, if you're not feeling a song, you need to like get up and change the song, and then you're looking at your phone and then you get caught up in all the things. So behind me on the screen, which sometimes I cover, sometimes I leave open, but today I had this beautiful track playing. It's a Shiva mantra that the two people singing and harmonizing, it just kind of repeats. It just sounds like one continuous song. They go by Chantris Siba, but the way that the female's voice, like she just continues to like flow, and her range and everything, it's so meditative and beautiful. So that's definitely one of my favorite things just to listen to when I'm in a meditative state or wanting to drop into that. And it was so beautiful to just have that playing in the background and just paint and get into that state. And I felt myself drop into it once I was in it. The only thing I like finally got up to do was when I was really hungry and I had to actually go cook a meal. So that felt really good. I'm definitely going to probably have another painting session, and then my plan is to go over it in black ink pen, and those will be the finishing details. I don't have a deadline or timeline at this point. I'm totally flowing with this piece, but it felt really good to come back to it. Aside from painting, I feel like my first love, especially my most intuitive one, has been writing. Writing when I let myself just pour my heart into it, and I don't have any type of, I mean, even with Instagram captions, I feel like I've poured a lot into that, but there is still a limit, and I feel like for me to fully express, I need a lot more freedom to write as much as I need to just fully flush it all out. And when I'm in no rush, I feel like I'll write and then I'll leave, pause for a few hours or even for a full day. I'll come back to it, and over the course of 2 or 3 days, I'll just come up with a written piece that I'm like, I just feel like this has summed up the topics and themes and the learning experiences, the pieces of the puzzle pieces of life that I am putting together, but also in my brain. And then when I write it all out, it feels like I can articulate it, and I go through so much therapeutic processing while writing something, but then also being able to articulate or write it in a way that feels valuable to other people. And I think that's a process that I am continuously refining. And a week and a half ago, I really poured into a piece and it felt so good. Dang, it had been so long since I actually took time to really write and really pour into a piece. So what I do like, because it still feels good to put my work out there. So I found a platform years ago called medium.com. This is the app. I've got some of my work on here, and it goes back to like years and years ago, which is crazy. But the piece that I just worked on, it's called The Damsel in Distress. It's just a theme that I have been going through for the past several years and just taking time to reflect around it. And it was so funny because literally after finishing this piece, I had a process or conflict come up that I needed to work through, and it was literally on the exact topic that I was trying to unravel in myself, which is not playing the archetype of the damsel in distress. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, I still love putting my work out into the world. I'm currently taking a little break from social media, but when I do feel like sharing it, I basically post the image that I'm feeling really called to put out and that I feel like resonates with the written piece. And then I do just like a short section, like an excerpt of it. Usually it's always just the beginning part, and I try to kind of align up a cliffhanger-ish part or something that's like, you know, like what happens next, like read more, but also enough that it like fulfills the Instagram caption limit. And then at the very bottom, I just put like continued on my blog so it can take people there. I really think writing it just feels so good. I feel like creating, editing is absolutely a continuous art, but I think the fact that I have to continuously learn technology, like how to work a camera, how to edit, how to do all these things, it sometimes does hold me back. I know it's just, you know, learning and like looking up another YouTube video on like how to do this with my camera or with edits or taking time to learn a new software. But I love that with writing, you really don't need anything besides a paper and a pencil, or if you have a laptop, like I just like to write and type there in my notes or my like Google Doc or whatever it is. So I wanted to share my writing process because that did feel like a art piece that I got to pour into spontaneously, even though I took a break like from my painting. Okay, it's Monday. It's February 3rd. We literally started this mini art documentary in like December, and I am being humbled because it's February and I still have not finished this. I have very much treated this season of life, which no regrets. This is the reason I am allowing myself to do this, of like, what does this feel like to just lean into things and do things when I feel motivated to or inspired to. And I feel like I really had to give myself all of these months to really get intimate with the truth that, you know, art is romanticized as this thing that we just feel inspired to do and then we do it. And that is very much the case for when the seed is planted that really gives us the idea of the artistic piece or the project or even the business idea or the anything that we want to bring to life and create. That start of it can very much come from this beautiful feeling of inspiration. And we all know that feeling where we feel like so connected with our potential. We feel so connected to God or source or all the wonderful divinity around us, and we're like, oh, I just want to pour into this thing. And that's the beautiful, I almost feel like feminine side of devotion. But what not many people talk about is to really see a project through. Even an art piece, there is that discipline side. And I talked about discipline before, but to really see it through. And that's where I'm being humbled because, yeah, it's February and this is not done. So I'm giving myself till the end of this week to see this project through. And I feel like with devotion, so there's that beautiful creative energy side, which is kind of like, you can think of it as the feminine, sexual, sensual, creative, energetic side. And then there's the masculine side, which is actually seeing it through, because I have a bajillion artistic ideas, even vlog ideas. I have a never-ending list of content that I want to create, but to see it through, that is the hard part. That is the part that my feminine, soft side that just wants to lean into things when I feel like it, that's going to clash, because to actually see a project through, that is where that practice, that consistency, that routine, that getting up at a certain time in the morning and going to sleep at a certain time and eating the meals that we know are going to nourish us and make us feel most alive, and surrounding ourselves with good people, whatever that is just as important. And I feel like, you know, I got a little scarred because I went a little too hard with the discipline for so many years, and that burnt me out and compromised a lot of my health. And the past 2 years have been a real exercise for me to really allow myself to really surrender, like let loose, and almost not let myself attach to any timelines and projects. But now I am in that stickiness but dance of finding the balance between the feminine and that masculine side and really seeing projects through. So wish me luck. We are going to be completing it this week. Good evening, it's Tuesday and I just had another painting session. I know I said I probably wasn't going to paint anymore, but I didn't want to leave the white space around. All of the paintings that I have so many pops of color, and this already is like only 4 colors if you count white being a color, and something about a blue and turquoise with red feels so beautiful. This really is inspired by the koi fish in water, so it felt good to just do a swerve of blue all around it. And once this dries in the next few days, I can really get into it with the ink pen. And that part is a really fun part for me. And it'll be really interesting to see what comes about with the black pen, which is really where I feel like I add just my style to the art, which has been like the art style that I have been cultivating. Just highlighting here once again that we really cannot rely on motivation. Today, I did hit a workout, which felt really good. I have been easing myself back into more movement and more strengthening movement, but that is affecting me in the sense that I need more rest and recovery, and my energy in the day fluctuates. I've also been waking up earlier. Basically, for context, I have spent the past few months just transitioning from a big career change. I have videos about it, but getting myself back into more structure and this devotional discipline and this sense of deep work, even if it means pouring into art. And I'm kind of using my art practice as an avenue to practice getting back into structure, but doing something that I know that, you know, I I want to pour into art. It's something I've always said I want to do when I have more free time. And yeah, just facing the fact that even the things that seem so romantic and beautiful to do still take effort. So you can't rely on the motivation and inspiration. I was tired today, but I just started literally setting yourself up, and then everything just started to flow and it felt good. Okay, so I wanted to drop in and really share with you the inspiration of this art piece. This is really taken from a specific scene in the show Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this show is so near and dear to my heart. I literally cannot wait until it's been an appropriate amount of time where I can rewatch it and fully soak it in. So this piece is the yin and the yang energy, but it's also depicted as koi fish. The word avatar is actually avatar in Sanskrit. Avatar really means like a reincarnation or a manifestation of something. And in this case, you can think of that something being source or divine spirit or God, whatever you resonate with. And I remember growing up being immersed in Hindu teachings and learning how, God and different deities are taking shape and taking form, reincarnating into literally fish or different animals in nature or different aspects of nature. And I think that's what's so beautiful about these ancient beliefs and philosophies, that there is so much intertwined with nature and animals and the elements. And so the show Avatar: The Last Airbender has so many concepts and philosophies intertwined to it, like so much depth from ancient Chinese philosophy, ancient Indian philosophy. I believe the yin and the yang specifically comes from Taoism, and there's such deep like every episode has so much that I would walk away with and being like, oh my goodness, there's like such beauty with everything being intertwined but really brought together in this show. I remember there's like specifics about the chakras and connecting with all of the chakras, and then of course the yin and the yang, but I can't even put into words. Anyways, I believe it's on Netflix right now. Really good shows inspire, and this show, it really is so inspirational and it has such a strong storyline. Like really, the show intertwines everything together, and that's literally what this all is like everything is so connected, so intertwined together.
The wolves of Greater Yellowstone are on the hunt. The mate was killed. Now she's in charge. For some, preparation began months ago. Their massive horns are used as both weapon and shield. Winter even tames the Rockies' largest waterfall. They need to leave and find a new home.
Okay, we have now come to the end of this art vlog. If you're still here, thank you for being here. Thank you for following along the process. I am so curious what your thoughts were. If you can relate to this as an artist of really needing that extra oomph to see a project through, to get that masculine energy turned on, and to also have it harmonize with the feminine energy. We're all about energy here. We're all about the balance. But yes, with this piece, it took a lot more iterations than I thought. I thought I was just done painting after the first go at the painting, and I actually came back to it like 3 more times to paint. One of the times, the initial detailing I did on the white fin I didn't really like, so I went back in again, and it actually gave it like a white-ish, grayish shade, which I actually really love. And then the red, it was getting some black smudges on it, so I went in with a bolder red, and then I continued to smooth out the actual circle, and then I tried to do the edges as the blue. Also done with the black ink detailing, so you can see the fins have some details. There's even some other details, like just little dots and things around the tails. But overall, I'm feeling complete with it. It's been a roller coaster of the past few days. We're almost coming up on the full moon. My period came a bit earlier. It's just been a little bit off this past month. A little bit more headaches and migraines and some anxiety and just emotional stuff I'm moving through. So I'm having grace with myself, but I'm still really happy that I stuck with this piece and saw it through, and now it's complete. So it's not just lingering around the house, and I can actually find a home for it where it can just rest peacefully and where I can enjoy it and look at it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'm gonna be coming on here with more videos. I'd also love to just hear your thoughts on what you thought of this kind of video. Very new, very different for me. Took the course of like 2.5 months to film and edit, but it just felt like the vlog itself was an artistic piece. I really wanted to pour so much into it and provide so many moments and really show you my process. And yeah, this is also just a reminder of like, we're all artists and everything that we pour into, but seeing it through, it's just like a sticky process, and it doesn't always look pretty when you're in it. I know the outcome we can always, you know, try to make look as pretty as possible, but not everyone sees all the shit. So I see you, you see me in the shit, and we're all in this together, my artistes. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and thank you for being here.